Thursday before break, a Purdue balloon launching club unpacked a USPS package containing the remnants of their hot air balloon that they had personally launched the previous weekend.
This was a pretty vanilla launch. We just wanted to send up a vehicle with a couple of microcontrollers, collect some data, see what the atmosphere looked like. So in all honesty, it wasn't that complicated of a launch. It was just the first one of the year, to get us going. Further down the road, we're going to be doing some more complicated things.
In the balloon were various electronics monitoring different levels in the atmosphere in order to keep track of the balloon. The pressure sensor in the balloon allowed the team to track the height of the balloon by looking at its highest atmospheric pressure reading, which in turn gave them the balloon's highest altitude. After the balloon came back down to ground, the club used a second type of tracking device to see where it landed.
This is called a spot GPS. It's a personal handheld GPS satellite communication device. So this guy's really cool because it gets GPS coordinates and sends it up to a satellite. So a lot of hikers take this into the Amazon, and there's like a 911 button on it that you can press, and then they'll come find you and flight vac you out of the area. So this told us exactly where the balloon landed, which in this case happened to be someone's backyard.
Ultimately, the balloon reached a height of 80,000 feet, a surprisingly high number. Normally, the balloon would reach apogee, or its highest point, earlier in the flight and pop from the expanding air pressure. However, this time it didn't.
Because what happened was we launched around midday, and the balloon got to apogee around sunset. Well, at sunset, things start to get colder, and that colder actually causes the balloon to lose lift. So the balloon got up to 80,000 feet, lost its lift because the sun went down, and then slowly fell down to it. And eventually it hit the ground, snagged the tree, and popped.
Once the balloon had reached ground, the team looked into it and found it in Pennsylvania in someone's backyard. After several phone calls, the club was able to get the balloon back.
Creepily, using the internet, we turned the GPS coordinates, figured out what the address of the house was, what the phone number of the house was, and we actually gave these folks a call around 8 p.m. at night on Saturday. And sure enough, they were home. We told them to go outside. They found our balloon, and they mailed it back to us.
The biggest shock of all, though, was a surprise phone call that morning from the U.S. Pentagon. The United States Department of Defense is interested in commissioning the club for research and development involving shooting a missile off of a hot air balloon.
So like I said, one of the more intense projects that we're working on right now is to launch a rocket from a high-altitude balloon. That is traditionally called a raccoon. And it was done a lot in the 50s, right before the opening of the space era. Since then, the activity in that sector has kind of died down. But we're wanting to do it as some R&D, and the DoD is interested. So they have a missile of their own that they would like to launch at high altitude potentially. So they want us to R&D and prototype the system and potentially work with them in the future.
The club will be launching another balloon later this semester for a competition. Best of luck to these talented students. Reporting for Fast Track, this has been Lauren Westberg.